What I've learned this morning is that the big high street banks are going to set aside another £1 billion plus next week to compensate customers who were missold payment protection insurance. This is going to take the total PPI mis-selling bill for the big four banks alone to over £20 billion, which makes it by far the biggest mis-selling scandal in the British banking industry's history. My understanding is that Barclays will account for the biggest share of the new provisions. It will probably take somewhere between £500 million and £1 billion, according to analysts. And Lloyds Banking Group, which has so far set aside £9.8 billion, will take its own total to over £10 billion. Now, what's driving this is an increase in the number of claims that are being submitted that relate to policies that were sold before 2005. And that date's important because that was the reference point for a judicial review that the banks unsuccessfully brought back in 2011. And it's really concerning the bank executives, as you might imagine, because banks only are obliged to keep records for 7 years. Many of these claims now date back to a period when for which banks don't have adequate customer records, and so they are still facing a significant sum of new PPI compensation, despite predictions from the Financial Ombudsman Service yesterday that the worst of the scandal has now passed.